the coldest place in the world, where nature plays the game of death. The truth is that a city like Yakutsk should not exist. Welcome to Yakutsk, the part of the earth where life freezes. Let's see the truth about the coldest city in the world. This is Yakutsk, a city hidden in the middle of Siberia, where the temperature drops to -50 degrees. Winter temperatures fall below -40 degrees. This cold in Yakutsk is enough to kill anyone. And once, the mercury here had dropped to -64 degrees. This is the kind of cold that can turn a person to stone in seconds. The cold here is so merciless that even your breath freezes in the air and turns to ice. An unbelievable fact. In this city, eyelashes freeze within seconds. A place where nature tests the limits of survival. The air here feels like knives on your skin. A brutal environment that pushes humans to the edge. Yakutsk lies in eastern Russia. A remote frontier where the extremes of nature are a daily reality. Hidden in the endless expanses of Siberia, a region where human intellect and nature clash. Nestled in the cold expanses of Siberia, this city is the capital of the Sakha Republic. The center of an ice empire. The temperatures here don't spare even the Lena River. Every year, this great river freezes completely, turning into a highway. For months, everything becomes white. A world trapped under a relentless blanket of snow and ice. In winter, daylight lasts only a few hours. A city that lives most of its life in the shadows. By afternoon, darkness returns. A city that quickly fades back into the shadows of a long, frozen night. -40 is just a number, the real killer is the strong winds that double the cold. A freezing fog envelops the entire city. As if Yakutsk were trapped in a snowy dream. Don't make the mistake of touching any metal, because the cold here can freeze your skin to the iron. In this deep freeze, cars often refuse to start. A single mistake can leave you stranded in the ice. Cars are left running in parking lots for hours. In this cold, if you turn the engine off, it might never start again. And yet, 300,000 people live here. A thriving city in the coldest corner of the earth. Life doesn't stop even in -50 degrees. Children here still walk to school on the same icy road. At -40 degrees, workers still wait for buses. A harsh reality for those who call the world's coldest city home. There is no need for any freezers in the fish markets here. Anything left in the open air turns to stone in seconds. The cold is so severe that even the buildings start to get covered in layers of ice. Here, even iron and concrete turn into ice. The snow reflects blinding light. A landscape so bright, it becomes a challenge for the human eye. Despite all these dangers, this frozen world is nothing short of a dream. As quiet as this scene is, it is also as captivating. But it is brutally unforgiving. In Yakutsk, nature doesn't just challenge you, it tests your very will to survive. -50 degrees is normal here. Not a disaster, not an emergency, just another winter day in Yakutsk. Uncovered skin freezes in minutes. In this extreme cold, the environment becomes your body's greatest enemy. The ground is so frozen that every step sounds like breaking glass. A crystal world under your feet. In winter, rivers become highways. Frozen water that is strong enough to carry the weight of entire convoys. The city is far from any ocean. Trapped in the heart of Siberia, where no warm breeze can ever reach. No warm water protects it. Exposed to the raw power of the Arctic, this city remains at the mercy of the freeze. Arctic air settles here every winter. A heavy, frozen blanket that smothers the city for months on end. This powerful Siberian air pressure chains the frost to the ground. The air here is still, and the cold, inescapable. Silence dominates the frozen streets. A world where every sound is swallowed by the absolute cold. The city glows in blue twilight. A frozen kingdom caught between the fading sun and the endless winter night. Living here requires strength. Not just physical endurance, but a mental will that refuses to be frozen. This is life at the edge of human survival. A place where the world ends, but the human spirit begins. At -50 degrees, boiling water freezes in mid-air. In Yakutsk, even heat surrenders to winter. Breathing outside for minutes turns your eyelashes into ice. In Yakutsk, your own body becomes a frozen canvas. This is not a special day. This is normal winter. In the world's coldest city, survival is just a daily routine. Children go to school unless it drops below -52. In Yakutsk, the cold is no excuse for a day off. The air here is so cold that it freezes itself. This white fog is actually fine particles of ice floating in the air. Water pipes in Yakutsk remain above ground. The permanently frozen soil does not allow for any excavation. Beneath Yakutsk lies permafrost, frozen ground thousands of years old. A giant block of ice that stays frozen forever. Buildings stand on stilts to prevent melting the frozen earth. A delicate balance where heat is the greatest enemy of stability. The soil here is no less than steel. The ground in Yakutsk is harder than concrete, making it impossible to dig. In many homes, plumbing still doesn't exist. A world where the simplest luxury is frozen beneath the ground. The warmth inside is a blessing, but as soon as you step outside, nature's merciless grip awaits you. Fur is not fashion here. It is protection. In Yakutsk, the right clothing is the only thing standing between life and death. Yakutsk, home to the Saka people, a resilient nation, thriving where the world stays frozen. For centuries, their culture has stood firm, outlasting the bite of 1,000 brutal winters. As the world freezes, the mighty Lena River transforms into a vast, crystal highway. When winter strikes, the line between water and land vanishes as heavy engines roar across solid ice. One wrong move, and the ice shatters, leaving the river to swallow you whole. But as the sun returns, the frozen world vanishes, leaving only the rushing waters behind. But summer brings a new enemy, millions of relentless mosquitoes. Surviving the lethal cold was only the beginning. Now, the swarm arrives. Yakutsk, a land of two extremes. In the world's coldest city, fish is sold frozen. Not by machines, but by the air itself. They call this dish stroganina. Raw, frozen, and carved like ice. It is eaten raw, served while the ice still grips the flesh. In a land this cold, refrigerators are optional. The entire world is a freezer. But Yakutia hides a secret, something ancient, buried deep within the ice. Gigantic, and perfectly preserved. The ice reveals the woolly mammoth. Lost to time, yet untouched. These giants have been frozen for over 20,000 years. Hidden beneath the streets, scientists unlock secrets, frozen deep within the permafrost. Deep inside the glowing ice, one thing becomes clear. In Yakutsk, even history is frozen. It is more than the coldest city on Earth, it is a place where the spirit refuses to freeze. At 3 in the afternoon, darkness reigns. Here, the sun barely skims the horizon. A flicker of light, then gone. Here, the day is over, in just a few hours. Even at noon, the shadows take over. In Yakutsk, life is lived in the dark. Imagine leaving for school and returning home in a night that never ends. At -50, metal is a predator. Touch it, and it can freeze your skin in seconds. A single mistake, and the metal claims you. One touch, and your skin sticks. In this cold, your breath is more than air. It is visible, like smoke rising from your soul. Nature's grip is instant. In Yakutsk, even your facial hair transforms into ice. The clock starts the moment you step out. In this cold, exposed skin freezes in under 5 minutes. It is a silent killer. Frostbite begins without a sound, then it destroys the tissue. The ice is unforgiving. In extreme cases, fingers are lost forever. The freeze is relentless, but the cold attacks more than just the body. Beyond the frost lies a heavier weight. For in Yakutsk, the darkness affects the mind. When the sun vanishes, something breaks inside. Here, seasonal depression is more than a mood. It is a way of life. Isolation is a heavy burden. Here, months of solitude test the very limits of mental strength. But the mind fights back. To survive the long night, many choose to stay active. In the face of the void, they find each other. Here, community gatherings keep the spirit alive. They are not broken by the cold. Even here, in the deepest winter, the ancient Saka culture shines. In the heart of Siberia, time stands still. But look closely, and you'll see, the snow never truly stops. The air itself is a weapon. In Yakutsk, blizzards are blinding forces. They reduce visibility to zero. The battle never ends. Against the infinite white, powerful machines work day and night just to keep the roads open. In Yakutsk, a car is more than a machine, it's a life support system. Forget the cable, and the engine dies permanently. Nature claims the machines. At -50, the heartbeat of the city stops. Engines freeze solid. This is not a parking lot. It is a lifeline. In this frozen wasteland, every parking space becomes a survival station. The city is screaming. Under the weight of the frost, even the strongest buildings creak under the pressure. Nature invades the home. When the frost bites deep, windows grow flowers of ice from the inside. Where we struggle, they thrive. In this frozen kingdom, some animals adapt better than humans. Beyond technology lies evolution. They don't just survive here, they belong. Nature designed them for this world. The city is just an island. Step across the border, and you'll find the endless, frozen wilderness. The night is not just a void. For those who endure, the sky opens. Because sometimes, the darkness rewards the brave. It's January, and the mercury has dropped below -50, there's just a frozen silence everywhere. This is nothing new here, it's just the reality of winter. The lowest temperature ever recorded in this region was truly terrifying. Not far from here is Oymyakon, the coldest place on Earth inhabited by humans. In 1933, the temperature here dropped to -67 degrees Celsius, a chilling record. At such low temperatures, the icy air in the atmosphere feels like a sharp saw or a spike piercing the body. In such extreme cold, your skin can freeze completely in less than 2 minutes. Even blinking becomes a painful process, as fine particles of snow sting the eyes with each movement. Due to the extreme cold, mobile phones and batteries suddenly become completely useless and turn off. It is also dangerous to breathe deeply in such cold weather, as this cold air can injure your lungs from the inside. Vehicle engines are never turned off here, because once they get cold they won't start again. Once engines freeze completely, it becomes almost impossible to restart them. The moisture in the air freezes like a thin sheet of glass and disperses into the air before it even touches the ground. Even the boiling hot water here, as soon as it is released into the air, turns into fine particles of ice within just a few seconds. If you accidentally touched any metal, your skin would immediately stick to it and freeze there. When blood circulation stops, body parts begin to freeze and frostbite occurs. In this wave of intense cold, the entire city disappears somewhere behind this blanket of icy fog. Driving in such conditions is no less than a big risk or gamble, because even a small mistake can be fatal. Even emergency services and rescue teams move with extreme caution, as even the slightest oversight can cause major disaster. Inside homes, heating systems operate at full capacity around the clock to maintain the warmth of life. If this heating system that provides continuous heat were not in place, survival of human life in these deadly conditions would be absolutely impossible. If even one pipe bursts, or any part of the heating system fails, the entire building can freeze like an ice cave within a few hours. When the thick layers of ice frozen at the bottom of the Lena River move, the roars they emit create an eerie silence throughout the environment. The peace and silence of this bone-chilling cold are so profound that one begins to feel completely alone and helpless. If you step outside without proper protection, nature will overwhelm you and victory will be hers. Layers upon layers of clothing, fur, wool, and insulation to combat this merciless cold and preserve body heat. This is not just fashion, but a shield standing between death and life. Even in these merciless waves of the most severe cold, the sun ultimately does not lose its courage and dies only after rising. In Yakutsk, it's not the cold that overwhelms people, but rather, it's the people here who defeat this merciless cold. Beneath the frozen ground of Yakutia lie treasures of wealth that are impossible to imagine. This region is known as Yakutia, one of the richest diamond zones on Earth. One of the largest and most magnificent diamond mines in the world is located here. The Mir mine, a hole so large it can be seen from space. The depths of this giant crater have forever changed the fate of this barren and frozen region. During the difficult times of the Soviet Union, diamonds were discovered, hidden under layers of ice here. In 1955, geologists discovered a secret deep within the frozen earth that astonished the entire world. Digging through this rock-solid permafrost, a grueling test of human courage and machinery. Before digging can begin, this rock-solid ground has to be melted with a blazing fire. In the depths of this giant pit, these majestic trucks crawl like ordinary insects. This crater is more than 500 meters deep, so much so that its vastness astounds the human mind. Helicopters are prohibited from flying over this crater because this giant crater has the power to pull them into it. The airwaves generated inside this crater can pull down any aircraft in the blink of an eye. After mining, these precious raw diamonds are expertly separated to reveal the true brilliance and value hidden within. Most diamonds initially look just like ordinary stones, ones that the average person might not even recognize. But when their carving is complete, they transform from ordinary stones into priceless and unparalleled masterpieces. The journey of these precious diamonds, set in jewelry around the world, actually begins in the depths of this mysterious and frozen earth. The diamond industry in this entire region is dominated by just one company, and that powerful name is Alrosa. This company is one of the largest diamond producers on the planet, controlling a large portion of the worldwide market. Even in the bone-chilling cold of -50 degrees. This madness of searching for diamonds here never stops for a moment. Today, much of this mining is carried out by ripping through the Earth's crust, hundreds of feet deep, inside dark tunnels. The workers who work here face bone-chilling cold and life-threatening conditions, where even the smallest mistake can have a huge impact. These tiny gems are actually millions of dollars worth of wealth for which the Earth is dug up. But not everyone living here can feel this immense wealth, because diamonds that come out of the ground don't change everyone's fate. Despite the immense riches hidden in the depths of the earth, ordinary life here is still gripped by the same brutal cold and harsh realities. These diamonds are the lifeblood of the economy of this barren and frozen region, thanks to which the wheel of life keeps moving in this snowy desert. This entire empire, and every single brick here, was created by carving out the chest of this frozen, rock-hard earth. This beautiful glow seen above is actually due to priceless treasures hidden deep within the earth. In Yakutia, even these precious stones are born from the embrace of ice sheets and freezing. The coldest city in the world, with immense and priceless wealth hidden beneath its feet. At -50 degrees, the distance between life and death shrinks, and every second of the fight for survival becomes precious. In the very first minute, your body goes into shock. As blood circulation begins the final battle for survival, blood rushes to your skin. to somehow keep it alive in this extreme freezing. Then, your blood vessels begin to constrict. The body shuts off blood flow to the outside to conserve heat. Then the body starts shivering. This is your body's automatic system that tries to generate heat on an emergency basis. In Yakutsk, this is not an unusual situation, but a normal winter evening that the residents here live every day. Within just 2 minutes, fingers exposed to the open air begin to go numb. And your brain loses contact with them. This numbness is actually an alarm bell, which means your body is cutting off the blood supply, leaving these parts to fend for themselves. Layers of ice begin to freeze on your face. The moisture from your own breath, freezing on your eyelashes and hair, turns into solid ice. Frostbite strikes silently. You don't even realize your body is freezing to stone on the inside. Then human cells begin to freeze. Soft parts of the body begin to turn into pieces of solid ice, where the path of return almost ends. Taking a deep breath here could be a fatal mistake, because this freezing air directly injures your lungs. The moisture from your breath instantly turns to ice. As the warm air escapes, it turns into a solid and frozen cloud. Just 5 minutes later, your muscles begin to respond. This wave of freezing rapidly saps your physical strength. Now the body's internal temperature begins to drop. This is the moment when the candle of life comes close to being extinguished. At 35 degrees Celsius, hypothermia sets in, where the body begins to lose the battle to generate heat. Before you can sense the danger, your mind becomes confused, and your perception of reality begins to blur. Physical balance begins to deteriorate, and it becomes an impossible challenge for you to stand on your feet. The intensity of the severe snowstorm is increasing. Every gust of wind is cutting the cord of life. The temperature drops to -60 degrees on the wind chill graphic. This is the point where nature takes the ultimate test of man. The car has turned to ice, and there is no shelter for a long distance. Now you are confronted directly by nature's most ruthless face. As hypothermia worsens, the body falls into a dangerous silence, where every pain, every discomfort, and every fear begins to fade into a peaceful sleep. Vision blurs and the ability to think begins to suffocate. Your brain is now trying in vain to conserve the energy necessary to just survive. The heartbeat now begins to slow down. The body's most important engine is expending its last energy, and the pace of life is slowing down. The rescue team must arrive now. Because in this frozen world, the difference between life and death is now only a matter of seconds. Rewarming the body is a very delicate step. It must be done very slowly and in a controlled manner, otherwise the hope of survival can turn into danger. The feeling of inner warmth, like a reunion of life, where with each breath the frozen spirit of the body begins to awaken. This is why the locals here never take the cold for granted. For them, every layer of clothing is not fashion, but a guarantee of life. They respect it, because they understand it well. Survival here is not about strength, but about consciousness.